You know what? I'm pleasantly surprised, and I think you will be too, so let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I'm your buddy John and you're watching Cinemaniac Reviews. This weekend I had an opportunity to watch DC's latest superhero film, Blue Beetle. This film follows the story of Jaime Reyes, who stumbles upon an ancient relic known as the Scarab. When the Scarab bonds with Jaime, they develop a symbiotic relationship which gives Jaime an extraordinary set of powers and abilities, transforming him to the superhero Blue Beetle. This film is directed by Angel Manuel Soto, and this film also stars Zola Mariduena, who plays the lead role of Jaime Reyes. And you might recognize this character from his previous work in the Netflix series Cobra Kai. This film also has a wide range of talent, but what I was most looking forward to was George Lopez's character as the uncle in the film. And a lot of the humor that was in this movie really worked for me when it was subtle. A lot of the kind of in-your-face jokes that you can tell were written to be funny weren't as effective as the subtle humor that you would get from characters like George Lopez. A lot of his one-liners worked really well for me, and I found myself laughing a lot. And while we're on the subject of a talented cast, I did want to bring up what was probably the weakest part of the film for me, and that was the main villain in the film, portrayed by Susan Sarandon. I believe the character's name was Victoria Cord. A lot of her scenes fell really flat for me. A lot of her dialogue, it screamed generic villain, generic movie villain, kind of like the villain that stands in the background with her arms crossed and just kind of says one-liners that seem evil, but you don't really care much for them. And that's kind of what I got from the character in this film. I will say, though, that this movie does have heart, and that heart stems deeply from the family relationship dynamic between Jaime and his father, his mother, his sister, and his grandma. There are moments in this movie that really kind of pull at your heartstrings, and I really appreciated that, and that's kind of what elevated this movie for me. This film also does a really good job of establishing the economic disparity and social inequality between the neighborhood where Jaime Reyes and his family live versus the city or the new construction that is being brought into the city from Cord Industries. While this film does do an excellent job with establishing these themes at the very beginning of the movie, I do feel like it slowly trickles out towards the end, and the messaging kind of gets a little blurry and falls victim to what I like to call the convenient factor. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of moments in this movie, throughout the movie, that you really have to suspend your disbelief and kind of not question why certain characters know how to do certain things, or certain situations just all of a sudden become available to certain characters. I don't want to spoil anything, but it really, you don't get answers to a few of the things, and you just have to go along with it. And part of me does think that's a little lazy, and I feel like that messaging could have come across just a bit cleaner. And I do want to call out that this is the second to last DCEU film, right before Aquaman 2 comes out, and this will technically be the end of the previous Warner Brother regime's DC films, before James Gunn and Peter Safran took ownership of the DC. The reason why this is important is because this film does end with 2 post-credit scenes, and if you don't want to hear about post-credit scenes, please skip through the video towards the end. But I do want to call out, this isn't going to be any spoiler, but I do want to just mention that the post-credit scenes in a way set up sequels, or set up Blue Beetle to be kind of a part of the movies in a sense, but I don't see how that's going to be possible. That opens up a whole new can of worms, because like I mentioned, this is the second to last DCEU movie. The slate starting completely fresh with new actors and new stories in 2025 with James Gunn's Superman Legacy. So all of these actors that have played in the DC movies thus far should be obsolete. Post-credit scenes aside, it does stand on its own. So don't feel like you have to have watched previous DC movies to watch this movie. Don't feel like you watch this movie, so you anticipate watching others after. It really is its own independent film, and I think that's one of the things that it has going for it, is that you can watch this not knowing anything about anything, and it would still play pretty good. Walking into the theater and not knowing anything about the character of Blue Beetle, and not really having too many expectations for the film, I will say that I enjoyed my time. Overall, I thought it was a good movie. I think you guys might like it too. So I would definitely say go watch this if you haven't already. If you have, comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought, because I'm interested to know just the general consensus and what everyone has thought so far. Alright everybody, that will do it for me today. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. We are trying to grow this channel. Our first goal here is 100 subscriptions, so let's get to it. Until then, I will see you on the next one. See you later.